Hi, my name is Leo, and I am about to give you what I think is a review that has been needed. Um, I watch a lot of movie talk and different reviewers on YouTube, and I was inspired to do this by multiple different YouTubers. Um, the Smos Know, AMC Movie Talk, Jeremy Johns, um, just to name a couple. Um, and John of AMC Movie Talk is a huge defender of this film. Here we go. Yeah. And I completely agree with him. It's a fantastic film. There was a few onesies and twosies that I didn't quite. There were parts of it that I don't want to say unhappy about, but I was just like they could have done better with that. And then there's another Superman film that gets a lot of slack, and that is this film, which I also like. Two completely different variations of the superhero that is Superman. And what I'm trying to do is I'm going to do a comparison, not of which one's better, because in my opinion, these are two different superheroes altogether. I mean, if you look at just the basics, they're completely different. They have different weaknesses. This dude is weak against kryptonite. This dude's weak against the Kryptonian atmosphere. It's just different. Okay, let's just start with we'll start with this one. Superman Returns. Directed by Bryan Singer. He's the director of X-Men, X-Men 2, and then the most recent, hugely successful Days of Future Past. Um, Bryan Singer grew up watching the Superman films, and he has a romantic attachment to these films. Now, this film is his vision and his attempt, well, he did very well, his attempt at being extremely loyal to the Christopher Reeves Superman and the ideas behind that Superman. He was the just truth, justice Superman. If you notice in this movie, he never throws a single punch. It's all just the power of his presence or his multiple powers, his freeze breath, his laser beam eyes, or just he gets shot in the eye with a bullet, and the bullet just literally just frays against his eyeball, and just falls to the ground. Um, but this is like an artistic slash romantic version of what the idea of Superman is. This is him not being the attacker or the superpowered demigod. It's just him saving people constantly, just flying, zooming back and forth, saving people, which is pretty cool. Um, but it's not the Superman that everyone expected to come from the X-Men director. Um, oh, and the villain, Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor, I thought it was pretty fantastic, but I think that he tried to emulate the Lex Luthor of the Reeves films too much. He didn't really add much of himself into the role much. Um, but still, Kevin Spacey doesn't really do things wrong, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I want to say it in theaters it did not do as well as they had hoped. Um, Especially the success of the Batman Begins, and then this it just mm-mm. They weren't going to make any more. And now, of course, Brandon Ruth is, or Ralph. I don't know if it's Ruth or Ralph, but he's now on Arrow and he plays the Atom. So he may not have been on. It may be because of this movie that he's on that radar. Because it's still a good movie. It just isn't what the fans wanted at the time, or it would have been great if it had been made back and was actually part of the original series or series of movies, because this would have been a good like culminating finale kind of thing to those movies. It was just made in the wrong era. This is my opinion. If you don't like my opinion, then that's all yours. You can have your own opinions about it. It's just mine. Just one dude with an opinion about this movie and a horrible light. Sorry about the setup. I tried to get more lighting in here, and it's not working out. But I will fix this setup, and I will make it better as more videos come along. I'm gonna do a lot more movie reviews, and I work at a theater, so I'll be able to watch some movies a little bit early, and I'll get y'all reviews without spoilers, of course, and I'll get y'all reviews of those movies as well. Um, Next, we'll start with this one, Man of Steel. Now, Henry Cavill is a fantastic, perfect choice for Superman. Whenever I watched Immortals, I was not pleased with that film, really. But he was good. I liked his action scenes. Whenever he was on the screen, it was his, and it was just good. But whenever I heard they cast him as Superman, I didn't know what to think because I was like, he's a Brit, which okay, Christian Bale was a Brit, and he played a fantastic Bruce Wayne. But I always imagined someone. I don't know who. I don't know who else could have played Superman. I couldn't imagine anyone else playing him now. But let's just get started. Zack Snyder directed this, and when I heard that he was going to direct Superman or the Man of Steel, I kind of got excited because of 300 and Sucker Punch. Not so much for the movie, but for the action therein. Because he's a very visual director, and the things that he can imagine and put on the screen exactly as he imagined, it's unbelievably awesome. And he did fantastic with this movie. My one drawback, and it's one that the guys at AMC Movie Talk have addressed, and it's something that Jeremy Johns has also addressed, is when they were fighting at the end with General Zod, and they have their little Matrix fight, and they destroy the city. Not the entire city, like 1/3 maybe of just one of the more populated areas that just happen to be where Lois's work is, the Daily Planet. And when they destroy that, at first I was like, holy crap, that's going to be expensive. That's a lot of big shiny things falling to the ground and shattering. But as I started watching things more closely, and I started like watching the movie over and over, and you saw Easter eggs for like Wayne Tech or Wayne Industries or Luthor Corp, and you see all these things. I'm like, who are the two richest guys in the DC universe who can come and fix this? Lex Luthor, Bruce Wayne. So whenever they announced the next Batman vs Superman, when they announced that the first time, I was not surprised about Batman being in it. I was a little bit surprised by the casting of Lex Luthor. I still don't quite see that, but I don't question the directors anymore. I just watch. I don't. I'll listen to what movie reviewers and critics say, and then I'll go see I'll actually go to the movie. I won't even bother with the trailers or any of that propaganda or sales antics. All I want to do is I want to see the actors portray these characters, because like the huge onslaught of hate that happened whenever Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, I love Ben Affleck. He's a great actor. I remember I was very young. Well, yeah, I was pretty young whenever Daredevil came out. But I remember watching that, and I liked it at the time because I was a child, and I liked superheroes, and I loved Daredevil. And that was one of the early Marvel movies. You can't hardly fault Ben Affleck for what he did in that movie. He did the best he could of what he had. It's just like with the special effects of that movie, they did what they could with what they had. Just like the first Spider-Man, good film. I'm not a personal fan of Tobey Maguire, but it just was just it wasn't good. But whenever I heard of them going for more of the Dark Knight Returns style Batman, and I thought about how menacingly large Ben Affleck is normally, I was like, holy crap, this could be good. This could be the Batman of like the Arkham games mixed with the Batman of the Dark Knight Returns graphic novel and cartoon. And I'm still extremely excited for it. And even every still that they release or every side profile that they release, I get more and more excited. And it's all seeded from this movie. And the destruction had to happen for there to be this tie-in for all these other characters to come in. It's just I don't see why people don't like it. It's fantastic. The two fathers, you got Kevin Costner, you got Russell Crowe. Oh, they're just two of the greats, and it's just fantastic. Now, I think I okay. This is the better man's man, rock'em sock'em, destroy explosions version of Superman. This is awesome, and I love it. This is more of like a romantic, softer, colorful version of Superman. It's and I also love this. If you don't want to watch giant explosions and the best Dragon Ball Z fight we'll ever have on film, watch this. If you do want the awesome Dragon Ball Z fight, watch this. Two great films. Okay, this one's a great film. This one's a good film. I like them both. Okay, now this is the part of the video where at the end I just rant about random movie things, random movie news that I keep up with because um, that's what I'm passionate about. I love movies, and I love games, and I love books. Those are my three favorite things besides my son and my wife. Yeah, I had to throw them in there because if I don't, I get in huge trouble. And one of the big things right now is they released the Star Wars Episode 7 title, The Force Awakens. And now, when I heard that, I was like, that can be cool. I have the utmost faith in J.J. Abrams. I haven't watched anything of his that I did not like. Um, and I know he had a huge role to play in every aspect of that film. And I started thinking about the other names of the other episodes. The Phantom Menace didn't make sense. Menace is not a word that I would use to describe the Sith. Um, the Great Destroyers is something that I would use to describe them. A menace made me think of Dennis the Menace, and it took me out of the early parts of the film, which that film is it's horrid. But Darth Maul's good, and Ian McGregor's good. I like those two aspects of the film, and that's it. Um, but when you start thinking about the other names, the only one that made sense to me out of the prequel trilogy is the Revenge of the Sith. That's the only one that made sense. Revenge of the Sith, Return of the Jedi, third movie of each trilogy, and it made sense. The Clone Wars, whatever, you could have been more clever with that, and the Phantom Menace, you could have been more clever with that as well. A New Hope and or Star Wars, depending on how old you are in the spectrum of when it came out, or The Empire Strikes Back, which is my favorite of the original trilogy. Um, those are just fantastically named, and they make sense. Um, but The Force Awakens does not feel like any of these. It feels like a video game, like The Force Unleashed. It's almost exactly the same, just change a single word. If it has the attitude and the power of the Force Unleashed games, that would be cool for it to be in the movie. I wish that this movie would have just been the Force Unleashed games. get that actor that played um, Star Killer and get him in there and make a movie, because that dude was beast. Let's see. Also, Interstellar's out. It's been out for a couple of days, 3 days right now, and not as fantastic as I had thought. You know, Christopher Nolan has this curse now that whenever he comes out with a movie, everyone expects it to be this world-shatteringly brilliant piece of art. It was a good movie, but some parts of it, it just leaves you kind of questioning if it, I don't want to say if it was just forced in, but they just literally just throw things in your face out of nowhere just for the sake of introducing this idea or this aspect of the movie, and then it's gone, and that was it. They just threw that in there just so that you can have this thing thrown at you, and that was it. And then they move on to a whole other subject. Or they take a character who's been one way the entire movie, and then she completely changes for the sake of making love this awesome thing. It's a good film. You should see it. But don't don't be upset because it's not Nolan's best work. It's good, but it's not great. Also, animated film. The big fluffy robot. I haven't seen it yet. That'll be the next thing I watch. Ouija was a joke. Dracula Untold was decent. I like the main actor. I like the guy that played Dracula. He did well. The action scenes were fun to watch. Um, yeah, it's pretty good. 18 minutes. Holy crap. Alright, well, if you have any video suggestions, any movies that you want me to watch, rewatch, review, give you my honest opinion on what they brought to the film industry or what they meant or anything to do with film or games, just let me know in the comments below, and I will do my best to accommodate and get to everybody who comments or posts. Alright, subscribe if you want. Please do. And let's get this channel up and going. Have a good one.